Hello folks. This time I'm going to show you how to make a little bit of a different kind of a balloon Christmas tree. This one is made with linking balloons. It's a self-supporting freestanding tree that's, I think, is very cool and will enhance any room in your home for the holidays. To make this tree, we're going to need some really special balloons. They're called linking balloons. They're also known as Link-O balloons. Those were by the Pioneer brand, which unfortunately is now defunct, so they're a lot harder to find. But you can just go to Amazon and search for these, and they're called linking balloons. Just search for linking balloons, and they're like a normal balloon, but they have this extra little tip on the ends of them. So when you blow them up, you have both the knot end that you can tie together as well as the other end, and you can tie them together to make shapes, and that's how we're going to build this tree. These are sold. You can get a packet of, I think, 200. It's 100 of these 10-inch balloons. Actually, I think they're called 12. And 100 of these 6-inch balloons. And that you're going to need both of those inflated to different sizes to build the tree. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. Also, for this tree, we're going to need about 100 or a little more of these little tiny 4-inch. These are 4-inch red balloons, and they're really cheap. They come in a package of probably 200 all at one time. And then I'm going to use a gold star, a gold foil balloon star at the top. And this one's a 10-inch balloon, I believe. And I think that's going to be about the right size for this tree. And you'll also need some modeling balloons. And these are the kinds of balloons that are used for making figures and dogs and things like that. Circus balloons, clown balloons you might call them. But these, I've got 100 of these in white. We're going to use those to make the snow on the tree branches. To inflate the balloons, you'll need a couple of pumps. I use this one that comes very often with the modeling balloons to pump them up. That's the easiest way to do it. And also for the smaller size balloons. And then for the larger balloons, use an electric blower. This is a cordless model that I got from Lowe's. I'm not going to promote them or tag them or anything like that, but it's very handy. It's a 24-volt blower. It's pretty loud. It's pretty powerful. So it can do a quick job, unless you just want to take your time and use your lung power. The next thing will be to size the balloons all the correct size. And there's two ways of doing that. As I explained in my last video, the one way to do it is to use these bar clamps that you can get from any hardware store. And it's pretty simple. You just put them on the edge of the table and then clamp them down by squeezing those triggers. And then you can measure between these two uprights. I don't know if they're showing up very well there on the video. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. We just measure between these two till we get the size we want, like in this case a 9-inch. And then as you blow the balloons up, overinflate it to the size, to what would be 9 inches, and then you can just barely pull it through those two uprights. Just let some air out until it comes through, and then you'll have the balloon the right size. And that also makes it a little, since it's been pre-stretched, it makes it a little more durable that you've let some of the air out of it. Another way is that I've been doing recently, I know everybody has flat pack box experience, so you're always left with these extra pieces of cardboard lying around, and I like to use them for things. And in this case, I've just used a compass to measure out this diameter that I want to make the balloons, and I've just made a circle and cut it out of the cardboard. I've done a whole lot of different size circles so that when I'm doing any sort of a project using balloons that I need to size for the sculpture, This is always handy, that way I don't have to keep moving and setting this up. I'll probably show you how to do both though in just a few minutes. So to get started, we're going to need 60 of these 12-inch linking balloons, green of course. Or you don't have to make the tree green, by the way. You can make some pretty fun trees. I'll show you in one example here of one I made that is a Dr. Seuss inspired tree, where I used white balloons for the tree and then ocean blue for the snow and red ornaments. That was a lot of fun. And then you'll also need 60 of these 6-inch linking balloons in green, or your base tree color. Then you'll need about 100 of these little 4-inch red or gold or silver or whatever color ornaments that you want it to be. And you'll need a star. And this is my 10-inch gold foil star. For the snow, I'm using in this case the white modeling balloons. These are the kind that you make circus animals out of. And I'm going to use those to make what looks like snow on top of the branches. Again, it can be any color you want it to be. So let's get started with the basic module for building the tree. We start off with the 12-inch balloon. We're going to inflate 4 of them to 10 inches in diameter. Normal 12-inch balloon, and as you can see, we pass it through the bars and it gets stuck. So what I'm going to do is knock some of the air out until it just passes through. And there, that's a nice inflated 10-inch balloon. I give it a press together to make it a little more rounded and tie it off. And make sure you've got a pretty good neck size on the end of the knot, so that the two can be tied, so that it can be tied to the linking of the next balloon. We're going to do this for 4 balloons. So now that we've got all 4 of these blown up to exactly the same size, and I don't know if it's coming across the camera, this one looks slightly bigger to me, so that's always something to watch out for. But what we want to do is to take 2 of them and wrap them together, the knot end, and then tie the knot end so that we have 2 tied end to end. That's called a duplex. So we're going to make 2 duplets. You can tie these together both at the same time while you're tying them. That makes it a little quicker. It also helps if you have a blower that has 2 nozzles if you're doing this commercially. So then you see we have 4 balloons that are all the same size. 2 of them are tied together, and what we're going to do is push these 2 together like that, knot to knot, and then I'm going to twist, and it's going to want to get away from you. So twist it. I try to do a different balloon each time just to twist it around the knot, so that they are stuck together as 4. So they'll make this sort of a triad, sort of a shape. And all you have to do is to push the sides together to get a square. And it's going to fight, it's going to go back. But trust me, when they're all tied together, they won't do that. So we have a basic building block now that we're going to use to build the tree. So then we're going to move on to the ornaments. I like to do my ornaments, or at least the center one, first before I do anything else with this block. So I've got my 4-inch balloon, a couple of pumps. You can size this to, I just know by practice that 2 to 3 pumps is a 4-inch balloon. So I'm going to tie this off and leave a pretty good long knot neck on it. And then we're going to take this cluster that we just made, and we're going to put this in the center, this little red one, wrap it all around again, and then tie it. people will say that I could just tie it, don't have to wrap it again, but it's, once you start trying to get it to fit in there, trust me, it's going to wrap. And there we go, we have the first block module that we're going to use to build the tree. We're going to do 5 sets of these to make the base ring for the first side. And then to attach these together, these 2 rings, I'm going to use my 4-inch ornaments. So we will need 5 of these 4-inch balloons, just as we did in the centers, to tie on the edges to tie the 2 rings together. And I find it a lot easier just to, particularly with these smaller balloons, blow them by mouth. And then pass them through your sizer roll, letting air out until they pass freely so that they're all the same size. And then on these, you're going to need to make sure you have that extra long neck on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of my rings that I've already put together, set it up here, and then set this one on top. And we want to line it up so that the knots, the empty knots, let me see if I can turn that around more. The empty knots are over each other. We're going to pinch those together and tie them together with the 4-inch balloon. Okay, and then we just keep going around. Doing this at each crossing where we have the 2 duplex balloons waiting that aren't tied together. And sometimes this can be a bit of a trick. I don't worry too much right now that it's looking cattywampus, because we can straighten that up in just a little bit. Uh-oh. See what happened? As I was tying that one, I made a hole, and now we don't have an ornament there anymore. So we just grab another one and just tie it right over top of the one that deflated. And there we are again, we're good to go. We just keep going until all 5 of these are attached. This one goes here. And there you can see it's starting to take some sort of a cylinder shape. So we made the base all the same size. You could do it so that this lower level were, say, 11 inch instead of 10 inch. And so if you wanted more of a taper at the bottom. But in this case, I'm just wanting to stay the same. Then I'm going to start to taper in. So my next clusters are going to be 1 inch or 2 inches smaller each time around, so that I get that nice pyramid shape as I continue to attach more to the top. And so now we're just going to keep going. The next row is going to be 9 inches. Put it through the hole in my sizing block, let the air down until it just slides through the 9-inch hole. And there we go, a 9-inch round. And I've done that for all 5. And then I put them together into duplex. And then I've done too many actually. I only need 4 for each panel, and I did 5. That's okay. Cuts down the time for setting up the next one, right? workshop. Just like before with the 10-inch, I'll make a quad panel out of 4 9-inch. And then I'll put my red center in it, and I'll keep going until I get 5 panels, again, just like I did before. And then we're going to attach those to the top of this construction that is already existing to make the next layer of the tree. So now, as you can see, I have the tree mostly done. I've worked my way up through the different sizes to the 4-inch balloons at the very top, and it's turned out to be quite large. I actually miscalculated a bit when I said 2 rows of 10-inch balloons at the bottom. So like any Christmas tree that comes in, I'm going to have to take it down a little bit. But also I wanted to point out that the top portion I have not attached yet. This is the top portion that is made up of these 6-inch balloons that are inflated at 6-inch, no, excuse me, at 4-inch and at 3-inch. So I did that separately so that I can attach it to the top with the red balls just like I did before, but also because it's a little easier to work with rather than climbing all over the tree when you have a small piece and then you can attach it. This is going to be the top part of the tree. It's not the topper, but what it is the 6-inch balloons inflated to 3-inch, and instead of doing 2 sets of 2 to make a 4-piece for a panel, I'm using 3. So these are 3 panels, and I've arranged them in a way that the ends form 5 points of a star, because we have 5 sets of the balloons around the top. What I'm going to do here is attach this to the places where we would normally put a red balloon, and it's going to form the arch, the sort of slight arch at the top of the tree that has the little hole in the middle, which is where we're going to put the star. So as I said before, the tree is just a bit too tall, so one of the things you can do is to adjust it is simply take off a couple of rows, and at this point you can see I've got it upside down, and what I'm going to do is just use a pair of scissors and go in and cut at the knot so that it deflates. And I'm going to do that to each one that's in the row that I want to remove. Of course, you could, I suppose, pop them, but you still have to deal with these. You need to cut out the parts of the balloon that you're not using. So I can do this all the way around and basically cut my tree down to size so that it'll fit in the house. So as part of the decoration, I'm going to use these Twisty Animal balloons. They're white, they're called 260s, and they're used to make twisty animals, but they're going to make a very convincing snow branch, in my opinion, or you can consider it white ribbon that's woven through the tree. But either way, we use the hand pump and pump these up until there's only about 1 inch of tail left on the end of the balloon. And then mash it around a little bit so that it's a little more pliable. These like to break on you. And what I'm going to do is take the ends, the 2 ends together, the knot and that little tip, and I'm going to tie them together. So that it makes a loop like that. And this I'm going to insert on the tree. And I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up, but for demonstration purposes I'll show you right here. We hold the balloon together, and into this we have an ornament, in the middle of our cluster, and then we have a hole between the ornaments and this cluster. So what I'm going to do is shove this into that hole. You could actually leave it like that and it's going to be pretty cool, but what I do is I pull this down, the knot in, and I shove it under the red decoration that is already on the tree. Just kind of snuggle it up in there, and there we go. So now I've got this sort of snowy or ribbony branch that wraps around the ornament and goes back into the tree. And I'm going to do that for every one of these ornaments, starting at the bottom and working my way up. And so folks, there it is. The finished Linking Loon balloon tree. Complete with this snow branches. So I think it's kind of cool. It looks like old-fashioned candy or a cartoon Christmas tree. It'll be fun sitting in the hallway or in your front window even. So I hope you enjoy making this tree as much as I did. Merry Christmas.